Hey there, Adam from Splendid Sports. Happy to be joined by Adam from Vintage Sanctuary. Hello, Adam. How are you, sir?
Doing great. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
I appreciate you coming on. We are here to do a little 3 and 3. So basically, Adam is going to show us three of his favorite cards in his collection, and then we're going to look at three cards that are on his want list. Now, Adam, I've been watching your channel, and you have been picking up some awesome cards. So this is going to be interesting because I don't know what cards you chose for your three of your favorite. So this will be cool because, like I said, just in the last I don't know. What would you say, like last 3 months or so, or you've been picking up some big cards?
Yeah, I have, and I was a longtime coin collector, and also I've collected some cards in the past. And, for many years, I was on a well, I guess a tight budget is relative, but for many years, I was on $100 a month budget. And so just through careful buying and fortunately having some things appreciate, over the years, I was able to put together quite a coin collection. So I've been leveraging that coin collection, basically selling from the bottom, not from the bottom in terms of the lowest priced items, but selling from the bottom in the sense that I hang on to everything that's the most all the coins that are the most meaningful to me. And eventually I may end up selling all my coins and converting to mostly vintage baseball, or maybe I'll keep some. I haven't decided yet. I'm not in any big rush. So it's like I have this, piggy bank of sorts off to the side, which is a collection that I built up over many years. I still like coins. It's just a matter of, there are some things I really want to own, but there are other things I can very much appreciate, but I don't necessarily feel the quote unquote need to own them in my collection. So it's a matter of priorities, as it is, no doubt, for all collectors.
Well, I've heard you mention on your channel before, that you do have a coin collection, and you were a big coin collector, and immediately it makes me think of my grandfather. So it's a great memories because when I was a kid, he was a big coin collector. He had a great collection, but I just remember probably being 6 or 7 or 8, something like that, sitting at his kitchen table and him, just showing me different coins. And I can't remember a lot of it, but I do I remember that feeling of thinking it was really cool. And him, I could see how excited he was to show me his coins and, wheat pennies and Susan B. Anthony's and all these different, rare ones that I can't remember. But when you mention coins, I think of him. So thanks for doing that, because you don't hear about, at least I don't hear about coin collecting that much anymore. So when you mentioned it, I was like, oh, that's cool. I haven't heard that much about that lately, and I have great memories of it. So that's cool.
Well, and I just like to say, I still have a love for classic US coins. It's a question of whether or not I will hang on to any of them. And if I let them all go, it won't be because I don't love them. It'll actually be because I think cards have some real advantages, at least for me. They're larger. Coins, generally, to really appreciate them, it often takes magnification to really appreciate, the details, because each die strike is a little bit different. And they don't display well because they're one color, and they tend to be often a darker color because toning occurs naturally for coins that are like a couple hundred years old. And so the bright, colorful, larger vintage baseball cards are more appealing to me. Not only that, but the coins from the classic era, they all depict Miss Liberty. Our government did not want a president on the coins because they didn't want they didn't want the president to have too much power. They didn't want the president to be like a king. So but with cards, baseball cards, you have the actual person on the card, and so there's their history on the field and off the field. So all of those are compelling reasons why I find myself more interested in collecting vintage baseball cards than coins, even though I very much appreciate the classic US coins.
Well, and it's nice. It's such a great community on YouTube for sports cards. Is there a coin collecting community on YouTube?
I think there is some. I didn't find anywhere near the same level of community. Now, in fairness, maybe if I had tried harder, I could have. And maybe it's there, but it's smaller. I will say there's a segment of, there's a tight coin collecting community that has some really deep pockets. And it's not that somebody couldn't become a member of that community without deep pockets. It's just that, you know, when everyone else is going after rare die states and collecting items that are worth thousands and thousands of dollars, well, if you can't play in that arena, you know, it's would be a little bit silly to, you know, to be a member if you're unable to really obtain any of the items that they're obtaining. So there's that. I don't.
And you've been on YouTube now for how long with your channel?
I think it was, well, maybe a half year or so. It was sometime, maybe a little bit longer. I don't remember exactly when I started, but middle of the year at some point of 2022.
Well, you've had a great, I mean, you're a very popular channel for not being around long at all. And I got to say, I'm a big fan of your channel, but I think you might be, I told D-Con, or D-Con's Cardboard is new. I said, he might be the best commenter on Sports Card YouTube, but I think you give him a run for his money. You leave fantastic comments, you know, just well thought out. And I always appreciate when you comment on my videos. I've seen your comments on other channels, and I really appreciate it. But I just want to say, I think you and Doug might be the two best commenters in the whole sports card community. So I just want to say that.
I am honored. Thank you so much, Adam. I really appreciate it.
Because I know it's tough to, like myself, you know, the longer I've been on here, the more channels I've discovered. There's so many great channels, and the more people I've connected with, it gets tough to keep up, you know, because I feel bad. I want to watch everyone's videos and try to make my own here and there. So it gets tough to not only watch, but also to, you know, leave a nice comment and a thoughtful comment. So I think it's a nice skill that you have there.
Well, you know, we can start something right here, Adam. Here's the thing. If you get busy, because I struggle with this too. Like if you only watch one of my videos once every 6 months, or even if you never watch them, I still love you. I still think you're great. You know, I think people need to find that balance in their life, but it's a challenge for sure.
Yep. But yeah, I'm grateful to have found your channel. And like I said, you've got to, for not being around that long, you know, in the community or even collecting vintage cards, you have really come out of the gates fast. You got some great cards, some great pickups. So if you're ready, I'd love to see number one of your favorite three that you've brought here tonight.
Absolutely. And let me just say, I wrestled with this, Adam, and I think I had a little insomnia, which is on me as I'm wrestling with it.
Now I feel bad.
No, that's totally on me, you know, and it wasn't that bad. But I chose the three. And so here we go. The first card, the 1948-49 Leaf, Ted Williams in an SGC3.
What a card that is.
And, you know, what really drew me to this card, the 48-49 Leaf set, it just has crazy registration issues, but it seems like the registration is spot on for this card. The colors are vibrant. You know, there's not really any printing defects to speak of. A little bit off center, but for me personally, I'm someone that will live with a little off center. That's not my, you know, my top priority personally. Just sharp looking card for a 3. It's a little bit rough, I think, on maybe this edge here, which might be, you know, might be part of the 3 grade. But yeah, I absolutely love this card. This is a card that came up as a buy it now from one of the major dealers. I guess I'd have to look it up. I keep records. And it was, I had a saved search, so it showed up as an email, and I'm looking at this card, and it was or best offer. And so I made an offer, and I didn't hear anything back, and I was looking at comps, and I was like, you know, the last few 3s or a couple 3s that sold, they went for a little bit less than the buy it now price, but the registration was off. They were nowhere near as nice as this. So I said, I don't think this is going to last very long. So I just paid the full price, and I'm actually glad I did. I think, I think there's a time to do that, because I don't think it would have hung around too long. And whether that goes up in value, down in value, I am super stoked to have it. I just absolutely love that card.
Yeah, I mean, with that Leaf set, like that's one of those sets that I throw centering out the window pretty much, because they're pretty much all off centered, So exactly to your point, I have that card as well, and I did a video way back where I said basically the same thing, which is, for me, these cards are all about the colors, the vivid colors, and the registration. So as long as I got a good card in that area, the rest of it, I usually look at centering, as you know, but with that set, it's like I don't even care. I just getting one card from that set is like great as it is, but if you get one that's like looks like that, man, that is beautiful. That's one of the most beautiful cards ever, right there.
And let me just say, this has this gorgeous vivid orange. These Leaf cards come in different colors. They're not considered variations, but they were printed in different colors. So the Ted Williams also comes in a glorious magenta. So if the stars were to align right, and someday I saw the magenta background and it had, it was similar in condition to this, and it was something I was able to stretch for, I would be interested in picking that up as well. That's less likely because we like to get different cards, but I would certainly give it some consideration.
I'd love to see, yeah, if you do it, it would be so cool to see them next to each other. Just that, I mean, that would be, I have the Stan Musial one, which is one of my best cards. And it's the same thing with that. Like some of them have like a baby blue background, and then some of them have like a darker blue background like mine. So it's like, in a way, there's like parallels. You could get more, if you're lucky, you get one, but if you could get multiples that are kind of different, that would be really cool.
Okay, tongue in cheek, I have the Stan Musial as well, so I'm wondering if this is within the rules. Since you mentioned the card, does that mean I get to show it?
Yeah, it's only fair. It's only fair. And I've never turned down an opportunity to look at this card. So
this is one that I had thought of choosing, but I went with the Ted Williams, for your 3 and 3. It's a one that came up. Another buy it now. It has a pinhole, and other than that pinhole, I mean, this card is just absolutely glorious. And it was not a comma card. I was able to get this card for below the price of a comma card.
Whoa, look at that baby.
This card is absolutely stunning. And I don't know if it'll show up on camera, but the top border right in the center, there's just a little pinhole. Registration is spot on. This is more of the powder blue that you were talking about.
Yep.
And so I was so stoked because I was able to get this card. Sure, it's not an inexpensive card, but I was able to get it without having to spend, 2 or 3 times as much. And it is just absolutely stunning. And I tell you, I looked at it.
That thing is nicely centered too. So what I was talking about earlier, like that thing is centered too. Wow.
I tell you what, looking, and I'm biased, of course, because this is my copy, my baby here. But when I looked at eBay, and I know there are other places to buy cards too, but when I looked at every single 48, 49 Leaf Stan Musial on eBay, and I was like, okay, if we set that pinhole aside, which doesn't bother me, no, I think I might like this one better than any one I'm seeing listed on eBay. And, I got this for probably maybe a lower price than any that are listed on eBay. So just really super stoked about that. I squeezed in the Musial on a technicality you mentioned.
Nothing wrong with that. No problem with that. All right, let's go number 2.
Okay, number 2. This was part of the insomnia. Part of the insomnia was Ted Williams or Stan Musial. Part of the insomnia was with the 53 tops, and I chose to go with a card that's a high number. It's the toughest card in the set. Now, part of that, I'm sure, is because of demand, but because of the demand and it's a high number. And to me, glorious vintage art, the 53 tops, number 244, Willie Mays. And this card is absolutely stunning for a 3.
Wow.
and it's showing Mays, with his famous basket catch there. And I just think that, I know this is not a cheap card by any means, or not an inexpensive card, but I actually think that this card may be underrated, just in terms of being a high number, the toughest card based on demand in the 53 set, and the importance of Willie Mays. I believe he's the oldest living Hall of Famer as well, and just that incredibly classic image and the gorgeous vintage art. So that's my number 2.
Love that card. I don't have that one, but yeah, that's one of Mays' best cards in my opinion. Just for everything you said. I love like the action shot, so to speak, on there. Like, it's not just a portrait, because those tend to be my favorite type of card. So great choice. Love that card.
Well, what I was wrestling, of course, I was wrestling between that one and some other pretty good player that's in the 53 top set.
Some guy named the Mick.
Some guy named the Mick. That's right. So I might be stretching it, but did you just mention the 53 tops Mickey Mantle?
I did.
Okay,
and
well then,
I never turned down a chance to see that card either. So go for it, you cheater.
I know. I am. I found out how to work the system.
Yeah, right.
But I offer you this, just, it's your show, but by way of housekeeping, any comments in your video that mention positive comments that mention Adam, those are directed to the Adam Splendid Sports, but any negative or neutral comments in your video are directed to the Adam Vintage Sanctuary, just to keep that clear.
By the way, I delete anything negative anyway. There's no negativity going on here. So anyone even try it, I'm booting that comment out of here anyway. So don't even try it.
Perfect. So here it is. And it is a 1.5, but what a glorious 1.5.
Oh, man, beautiful.
I mean, that rectangle there is like gem mint 10. Yep. And this is a 1.5. So just absolutely gorgeous. It has one of those PWCC stickers. I know a lot of people don't like them. I'm going to say something controversial. I actually like the stickers. I don't seek out cards, because they have the sticker, but I like the stickers because I think PWCC generally did a very nice job with them, where if they put a sticker on there, it is really nice for the grade, because we can see cards on let's say eBay or another site. Wow, that card looks really nice for the grade. But if you get it in hand, they're not showing it at an angle. It could have some issues that are pretty significant that you don't notice in the picture. Whereas when PWCC puts the sticker on there, it's generally a really nice card for the grade. Now, I know these are controversial. I know a lot of people just hate those stickers, and fair enough, I respect that. But I don't seek them out, but I personally like them. So that's me.
I want to say something about that too, because I know it is controversial that, especially with the vintage community, most of the times when I hear people in the vintage community mention PWCC, it's something negative. Now, I know they've had their issues in the past, but yeah, I agree with you on that eye appeal thing, because I think the thing people get mixed up with is they don't charge for that. There's no fee for them to grade your card on eye appeal. They don't charge more. Now, the cards tend to sell for more because, to your point, I feel the same way. I usually agree with them, where if they're giving eye appeal a rating on a card, I generally, I don't think I've seen too many cases where I say, no, that shouldn't get that. I think they're pretty good with that. The only issue I have, and this just recently I learned this, because I got a card and it had a PWCC sticker on it, and it has a serial number. Each sticker has a serial number on it. So I was just curious. I thought, all right, well, what if someone took that sticker off and put it on a different card, right? What's stopping someone from doing that? So my thinking was, all right, well, is there a way you can look up on the PWCC website the serial number, and then it shows the picture of the card? And they said, no, they don't. They have it internally. But I would say that is a negative aspect of it, where I think an improvement would be like you can look up a PSA certification number and it shows the card or whatever. They should do that with their eye appeal, because people could play around with that and move stickers, different cards. They did say though that those stickers, you can take them off, but they're whatever the word was, they're they get damaged if you take them off, and they're basically not usable again. So it's like a one-time use. So, all right, that covers it. But PWCC, I think, should improve on that and make a database of the cards that they, give those eye appeals to, so people can look them up, and I think it would help the marketplace better. But overall, I do agree. I like that feature. Doesn't mean you can't judge for yourself, but it doesn't hurt. I don't mind them doing that. I think it's pretty good.
And let me just say, totally agree. I think they should do that for transparency. And I totally recognize there's a conflict of interest here, because like this, the mantle, 53 Topps mantle, I did not buy that from PWCC, but obviously it was in their hands at one point. Right. So they had the card, they looked at it and said, this is worthy of one of our stickers. They put their sticker on it, they sell it through their auction or buy it now. And so it increases the price. Some people are willing to pay more because of the sticker. So there's an inherent conflict of interest there. However, which I think is, that's significant, but I think they did a good job. I think, I've only seen like maybe one card that I thought was not deserving of the sticker. So
there we go. So let's see what the comments say about that. Be interested to hear some comments on that. All right, so let's go number 3.
Okay, so number 3. Now here's the deal. Just a quick story before I show number 3. This reminds me of your 39. This card is not 39 play ball. It's not Ted Williams, but and you can correct me if I botch this, but I remember the basic details. You had a 39 play ball Ted Williams rookie card. What a sweet card. Yeah. You decided it wasn't to your liking, so you ended up selling it, and then you got one that is to your liking. Is that kind of the basic?
Yeah. If you told a younger me, hey, someday you're gonna sell, like I couldn't even imagine ever like that someday I would own Ted Williams 39 play ball. But if you were to also tell me, yeah, and you're going to sell one someday, I'd be like, what? Why would I sell one? So yeah, that was basically the story. So
I have, I guess, a somewhat similar story. In October of 2021, I bought a PSA 1 Hank Aaron rookie card, and the pictures were just gorgeous. And I reached out to the seller and said, hey, pictures look fantastic. What's wrong with this card? And he never really told me. He just said, oh, it should be at least a 2.5. And he wanted like literally twice what it was worth. Well, eventually he became more motivated. I had sent him a few offers along the way. And eventually I paid a price I was happy with that was, a premium because it looked so nice, but not too crazy. So I get the card, and it was warped. It looked gorgeous when you looked at it straight on, but in an angle, it really had some warping. So that's why it was a 1. And, I tried to make my peace with that card, but after a while, maybe even a year or more, I realized, I'm just not excited about this. And I have a philosophy. If I don't like a card, even if it's Hank Aaron's rookie card, I'm going to sell it and get something else that I like. So I sold it, and I was able to sell it for a high price. I had a buy it now or best offer. And I told the buyer, and anyone who asked, I told them exactly what was wrong with it, because pictures look great, and I wanted them to know what they were getting. So buyer's happy, sold the card. I've got this chunk of change, and now I'm like, gee, do I put some more money together with that, sell a few coins, and get a better Hank Aaron rookie card? But, that's really stretching it. So Double D, Dylan of Double D Vintage Baseball Cards, we happened to be talking on the phone, and before I wanted to get his thoughts on this, before I could even finish my question, he said, you need a Hank Aaron rookie card. You had one. You're going to regret it if you don't replace it. Said it kind but direct. And so a 2.5 came up. I definitely paid up for this. Got this recently. So I used the PSA 1 sale Hank Aaron money, plus I have a few coins that I have up for auction. And this thing is just absolutely magnificent. So here it comes.
And best 2.5 Hank Aaron rookie card I've ever seen. I'll tell you that.
I tell you what, I totally appreciate those who, those who want great centering. I'm often willing to give some on centering for sure. This card has fantastic centering. This card is absolutely gorgeous. And
I love the backs of those too.
I do too. These are some of my favorite backs. I actually think this card could be a 4, maybe a 4.5. I really do. That's not why I'm stoked, of course. I'm stoked because it's such a nice card and I'm happy with it. But the reason I say that is because it has just this like slightest bend and it's so trivial. A lot of people would say, what are you talking about? In my opinion, PSA and SGC at this time are sometimes grading too harshly. Now, is it possible there's something I've missed? I mean, I'm not a professional grader, but I've looked at this in different lighting with magnification at different angles. And I'm like, come on, you guys have really, you really have some inconsistency over time in your standards when you'll have some cards that are a 4 or a 2.5, let's say, that look so vastly different than this card. And, again, if it had a pinhole or something, if there was something there, and maybe there is, but hey, you and we have eyeballs just like the graders, and I tell you what, I've spent a lot more time with this card than the graders have in a lot of different lighting. And so, if it's technically a 2.5, that's cool. But the eye appeal is just off the charts stunning. So I'm on cloud 9 with this pickup. And, I appreciate Dylan's advice, his sage advice. And I'm glad I upgraded. It took me about a year, literally, kind of trying to convince myself that I like the PSA 1 because, frankly, I prefer not to deal. I get a little stressed out dealing with higher dollar cards. And, my comfort level is purchasing or selling less expensive than Hank Aaron rookie card items. But I'm glad I went for it. I'm super stoked. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And I'll tell you, there's something else too. I don't know what's going on, but low grade Hank Aaron rookie cards seem to be so, let's say, well loved. Because I totally respect someone. If somebody says, hey, it's got lots of creases, yada, yada, but I'm okay with it, I love it. Sweet. That's awesome. But I was looking for something that avoided a lot of the challenges to low grade cards, such as obvious creases and, way off center, paper loss or discoloration, yada, yada, yada. Looking at low grade Hank Aaron rookie cards, it's almost like there's a requirement that they have all sorts of condition issues because the eye appeal is generally not good. It's amazing. So I think this creates, are there a lot of Hank Aaron rookie cards? Absolutely. And if you've got a lot of money to spend, you can buy a, mid-grade and get a super sweet looking card. But where I think there's scarcity is, are you looking for a really nice looking card in a lower grade? Well, that's not so easy to find. That's not such an easy thing to obtain. You'll probably have to pay a premium for it for sure, but it's still not an easy thing to find.
Well, for me, that's one of the most fun things about collecting graded vintage cards is trying to hunt for copies that to you look better than the grade, because that's the fun. And like you said, people are catching up to that with the whole eye appeal thing. And yeah, eye appeal cards will sell for more, but still, if you can still pay a price like that's still like lower than the next grade up or the next grade or 2 up, then that's great. It makes you feel even better about the card. It's like a double win. So yeah, I'm totally on board with that. And that's a big part of the fun. Because like you said, there's always 1s and 2s of Hank Aaron rookies for sale, but there's a big difference in how they look. So
yeah. And I just want to say, of course, that's my style. I mean, there are some collectors who they're looking to stretch their budget as far as they can. So they're looking for a card. If it has issues, they're totally willing to accept lots of issues because, they want to be able to get it for basically as little as possible so that they can stretch their hobby dollars. And that's their style. That's how they like to collect. And that is totally cool. So I'm not disparaging that at all. But I don't really necessarily want my collection to get huge. I'm still wrestling with how big I want it to get. And I've heard you talk about that. So, personally, I'm generally looking for high eye appeal for the grade and being pretty picky and selective.
And there's some collectors who do the PSA set registry and they're trying to compete, and the higher the grade, the better your rankings go. So there's some collectors that they want the higher grade regardless of how it looks, so there's a place for all those cards in what you're trying to do. And hey, that's cool. Whatever your goals are and whatever your preferences are, it's totally fine. And I'm glad not everyone thinks exactly the same, because there's a lot of different copies of cards out there of the same card. So they all need buyers. So it's good that some people, want different types, and I'm all for that. So, but yeah, right now I'm with you. Like, because part of me, when I was buying cards, like before COVID, buying vintage, the prices were obviously a lot lower. So you could buy higher grade, and for what you might get in like a Mickey Mantle, 1 or 2 now, you could probably get a 4 or 5 back, back 3 or 4 years ago. So, back then it was like, all right, I'll go for a little higher grade. But as I've collected more and more vintage, part of me is like, I want cards that have good eye appeal, but I like cards that have some wear on them now, because that's part of the story of vintage, right? Like the story of these cards that we love from the 50s and the 60s is that when they were distributed and opened up, no one had any thought that they were ever going to be worth money. So they didn't really take care of them. So for me, like looking at a vintage card that's beat up, that's kind of like, it tells the story of the whole idea, which is like my favorite thing about vintage cards is that story, is that, they didn't go right into penny sleeves and top loaders when they were opened out of packs. So I've been buying a lot of lower graded, like centered. They're pretty good centered, but everything else is beat up, like the rounded corners and creases. I'm okay with certain creases. So that's kind of the trip I've been on lately with vintage.
Nice.
Yep. All right. So you sent me a list of 3 on your want list, which are tremendous cards. So I'm excited to take a look at them. Let me pull up the first one here in Card Ladder. I already had it pulled up. So what you should see there is the 1949 Bowman Stan Musial. Now, this is a recent copy that sold on January 15th on Heritage Auctions for $552, $551. And this is a SGC4, really nice looking copy.
Yes, indeed. And the copy that you're showing, notice the rich red in his cap. And I've discovered that some of them really have that rich red in the cap and some of them don't. So, if I pick up this card at some point, and let me just say my general philosophy, there are lots of cards I want. So the 3 I shared with you are absolutely, on my mental want list. They're actually on a physical list as well. But, my philosophy is, we'll see where the journey takes me. We'll see what cards I end up getting. I don't try to force it, because if I try to force it, then I may not be as happy with the results. So I'll wait and see. Any one of those 3 could be a pickup this year, or maybe it happens down the road. But when the cap just has a really vivid, rich red, I'm looking for that. And of course, the registration, I'm willing to give a little bit on centering. Like this is, especially top bottom doesn't bother me too much. If it gets too far off side to side, that bothers me more. But this would be within this looks like just the type of card that I could see myself going after, at least based on these images.
By the way, I continue to be amazed at there's certain Musial cards like the Leaf that, sell for high prices, but like this card here, look, $551 that's a good amount of money. Okay. But when you compare it to other cards that, I mean, this is a 1949 Bowman Stan Musial, one of the inner circle greatest players of all time. The fact that it's a SGC4 sells for $551 is kind of crazy to me when you really think about how damn good this guy was, and just everything about him. Like, he was such a great guy. Everyone loved him. He played for the same team his whole career. He's all-time great. And this is such a great set that I got to say that seems pretty nice price for that card, for how awesome it is for me.
I think so too. And one of the reasons I want to go after some of these cards is I think they will see appreciation. So, my primary reason for collecting is not as an investment, but of course I do give some thought to the monetary value and the potential for appreciation. But I'd like to pick up some of these cards that, in my opinion, are ripe for more appreciation, even if they've appreciated a fair amount over the last few years. And in my mind, this is one of them, and if I'm wrong, if I end up getting a copy of this card and it goes down in value some, I can live with that. But I think that that Musial card right there as an example is a pretty good value in this market.
Absolutely. All right, so we'll go. The second card is another awesome one from an awesome set. We got the 1953 Topps Jackie Robinson. If I can learn how to type here, there we go. All right, let's pull this baby up here. This one just sold. Okay, so this one just sold on eBay January 25th, $911. SGC3. This is the one, right?
Yes, indeed, this is it. And
Awesome.
and let me say, notice this particular one is off center quite a bit.
Right.
I could probably live with that because you do have the white borders, but the background on the card itself, you have mostly really light blue sky. So the off center is not as, not so noticeable. So I'd probably go for at least a little bit better centered, but I could potentially go for this because I don't think the off center shows nearly as much on this particular card. I would want a strong name rectangle personally. I don't mind if there's a little white showing there as there is for this card in that bottom right corner from our perspective. But I think this card, again, this set to me might be the best set in terms of gorgeous vintage art. I have the maze, I have the mantle, and this is one of the other keys from the set. I do think that this card could see, I know Jackie Robinson's had some incredible appreciation, but I think 53 Topps, some of the key cards could see even more appreciation. Frankly, I mean, I love 52 Topps, but to me, 53 Topps, I mean, they're both gorgeous sets, don't get me wrong, but 53 Topps is perhaps the better looking set. And with the crazy prices of the Jackie Robinson in the 52, the Mickey Mantle in the 52 Topps, the Willie Mays in the 52 Topps, I could see some of these key 53 Topps cards having some appreciation as well, especially if they have strong eye appeal. So I'd love to pick up one of these, and perhaps the most historically significant player in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, for me at least, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like this 53 Topps Jackie doesn't get as much publicity, so to speak, as like, some of his other cards. Obviously the Leaf, but even like, 52 or 54, 56, I feel like Topps gets way more coverage than this card. So yeah, I think, and this one's selling for, you get a SGC3 for under $1,000. I mean, again, seems like that's pretty good pricing compared to, looking at some of his other cards. And I agree with you from a looks perspective. This card is this is right up there, one of his best looking cards, I think.
Yes, I love the 52 with that gorgeous red background, but of course, that's going for multiples of this card in the same grade. Many, I don't know, a 3 might be a 10 grand or more card in the 52 Topps Jackie Robinson. So, this is maybe a tenth the price, just ballparking it.
Right. Well, those are some great picks. And now what's cool is your last card, I don't have to use Card Ladder for because I have this card.
Nice.
And let me say this is like a perfect card. Not my copy I'm talking about, but like this card in general is like literally the perfect card for this player. And it is the 1954 Red Heart Stan Musial. This is a PSA 5.5. I mean, it's Stan Musial, the Cardinals, the red background, the picture. I mean, this is like Stan Musial. This is perfect. It's a perfect card. So yeah, like the red on this card, you can see it here, but like in person, the red is just like magnificent, unbelievable. The red and the background and just everything about it. This is one of my favorite cards. So I understand you could tell us why you love it and why it's on your want list, but I had to show mine.
That is beautiful. Congrats. I know you have other, fantastic cards, but that is a gorgeous card. And the way the red, I'm just echoing really, but the way the red goes with his eyes and with the red in his uniform. And, to me, for a lot of us collectors, there are certain colors that really grab us. And I think for a lot of collectors, that background color is red. Well, to me, the 52 Jackie Robinson is perhaps the king of red background cards. Of course, I'd love to have that, but again, that gets really spendy quick. Whereas this card is still, compared to that card anyway, much more reasonable. So I feel like this is just a more accessible card with that gorgeous red background. I love the Red Heart set. They made such a quality set. The card stock, I only have a few of them, but and the price point is, I think, I know it's an expensive card, but not bad relative to what it could be, for sure. Right. So that's high on my list. I have dreams about that card.
Honestly, it is incredibly beautiful. Have you ever seen one in person, like at a card show or anything?
I believe I have. Yeah, I have seen one. Well, I went to the National, so I'm sure I saw several of them. I mean, I didn't ask to actually, look at any of them up close, I don't think. But so I've at least seen them through the display case.
It's a similar, like, the way I approach it too is like, because this one's not great centering, but like I kind of feel the same way about these Red Hearts as I do about the Leaf cards, where it's like I kind of throw centering out the window with these Red Hearts, because it's all about the colors and the registration, and like the registration and colors just it's crazy how much they pop off this card. Like, and I think it's even better in person.
Well, I will say this, kind of tongue in cheek, but if you need a better centered one and you want to sell me that one to raise some funds to get a better centered one, just let me know.
Let me know if this is a good idea. I was thinking of cracking this out, and then I'm just going to probably trim it. I'll just take it, paper cutter, and just trim this side. Is that cool? Or like, and then I'll just get it reslabbed, or no, maybe that
is a great idea.
But yeah, it's centering doesn't bother me on certain cards. I don't know why, like Leaf cards or the Red Hearts, like, there's not a lot of centered ones anyway, but just like I get so distracted by other parts of this card that it doesn't even bother me. So I'm not looking to upgrade or any of it. This is like the perfect one for me. So yeah.
It's stunning. Well, and I think it really depends. Like there's a pre-war Yankee contributor card that I have in my watch list of Waite Hoyt, if I'm saying his name correctly. It's like a 1921 or 22 card. So it's got some rounding on the corners, but and generally I like sharp cards, but that card is appealing to me. And I think, if we're talking about like a 65 Topps card, I'm going to be much pickier because there are a lot of them out there. And they're within my budget. And so, there's no need for me to take one that, say, has rounded corners. And if somebody else wants to, that's awesome. So I'm going to be much more selective. But if I do end up getting that pre-war card, I don't know if I'll buy it or not, but I think the PSA total pop might be 20 some. So, and it gets, if there are any in higher grades, they're going to be a lot more money. So I think, to me, the condition I'm willing to accept depends on a lot of things: the price of the card, the era of the card, how it looks with its condition challenges, etc.
Well, at the end of these, if you've watched these before, I like to ask my guest if they could mention at least another YouTube channel, just to, see if they could recommend someone else that I could do a 3-and-3 with in the future. So if you got any off the top of your head, I would love to hear.
Yeah. You would think that I would have been ready for this one, because I've heard you say it many times, but I didn't even think of it. How about now, if he's already been on, I'm going to be embarrassed, because if he has been on, I watched it. But John, the 3D 80s Kid.
No, I haven't. And it's funny because he's someone I've been trying to, we've been emailing back and forth a few times in the past. So yeah, that's one I plan on doing anyway. I know you guys are buddies, right? You live very close to each other. So yeah.
Yeah, so we get together, not as often as we'd like, but we've gotten together, a couple times, 2-3 times at a card show, and we plan to get together more, but life gets busy.
Perfect. Yes, John, let's do it, man. It's on me. He's been more than willing, but I've been just kind of tied up with a lot of stuff. So here we go, John. Let's do this. I'm gonna reach out again, and we'll get this scheduled.
Awesome.
But yeah, Adam, man, this was a lot of fun. I am looking forward to hopefully meeting you in Chicago. I know you're going to the National, and you're gonna you're sharing a room with Dylan. Am I right with that? Or
Yeah, this like quintuples my coolness. Just, you know, any little bit that I had has been quintupled because I'm staying with Dylan. So that I'm really honored. I guess my parting words would be collect what you love, and don't be afraid to you know, make some changes, even drastic changes. I know Dylan certainly has, in terms of selling a lot of sevens, some of them off center, and getting fours. And I believe, you know, I know you've certainly, you know, made some adjustments over time, maybe small ones, big ones. So that would be my advice for anyone: is collect what you love. And you know what? If you decide you're not loving it so much, don't be afraid to make some changes, even some big changes, and let the community know. Don't be embarrassed, because, you know, we will support you. We want you to be happy, and we want you to be collecting what you love and enjoying your collection.
great advice. I love it. I want to thank you guys for watching, and thank you again, Adam, for joining. I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. See you guys.